What's up, guys? Welcome to my second YouTube channel here, the ItsDaveTV Reacts channel. Again, all the gaming content is for ItsDaveTVGaming, and on here we're going to be covering mindset, anime, money, the Mindset Behind Gaming podcast. But specifically for this video, we're going to be starting the new weekly series, My Week in Anime. Since anime licensing is kind of weird on YouTube and you can't really do a lot of reaction style content, I figured this is going to be the best way for me to cover any new shows, any shows that I like, or any shows that I just completed, whether they're new or old, here on the channel. And trust me, if you follow me on TikTok, I am busting out this anime content like crazy. I've already done plenty of hot takes, and I figure since there's been a lot of positive feedback, I'm just going to start this. But before we dive into the content of this video, again, if you like what you see, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another one of these videos or any other content that I have going on. Number two, like I talked about, I do have gaming content. Again, that YouTube channel is ItsDaveTVGaming, and I also do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/ItsDaveTVGaming. Again, I mainly play Destiny 2 there. I've been doing editing streams, talking about anime, a bunch of other stuff as well. So if you want to tune in, that'd be awesome. Link will be in the description. Number three, if you want to get around me and my community, I do have a Discord. That link will be in the description. Again, we're talking anime, PC tech, mindset, gaming, variety of topics in the Discord. We have plenty of people looking to do stuff. If you want to come in, like I said, link will be in the description. All right, let's dive into it. And first up, I'm going to be talking about Anime Spring 2022, new shows that I've watched, and just my initial thoughts. I just want to preface this, I have not watched every show that's like coming out Anime Spring 2022. Again, there are some that have caught my eye, some that haven't. I'm just going to be talking the ones that I think have caught my eye, that I think are either good or kind of underrated, and also ones that are obviously popular. First up, I want to talk about Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it, and I watched this on Crunchyroll. Funny enough is that I finished season 1 right before season 2 came out, so I pretty much went right into the first and second episode of season 2, and I've watched both. And you know, my synopsis of the show is that it's a solid rom-com, you know, romantic comedy show. If you like those, you should definitely give this one a try. Again, it's more sciencey and technical, but still, I think it's pretty solid. Do I think it's the absolute best? No. But do I think it's good? Yes. Next, I want to talk about a big one, Season 2 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. And I watched this on Crunchyroll, and I believe they're actually releasing it on Funimation, even though, you know, all the transfer stuff's happening and all that great stuff. But, you know, I gave Season 1 of Rising of the Shield Hero a 10 out of 10. This is one of my top isekai. The first episode of season 1 just pulled me in, just the amount of crap that happened. And as much as I raged and just was so angry sometimes throughout the show, it's a fantastic isekai with great story progression, great characters, and character development, obviously. And, you know, the openings and the endings were pretty good too on the show. That always gets me going too. And the first episode of season 2, I think a lot of people were kind of upset because it moved a little fast. But again, this is the setup for, you know, a whole new chapter, a whole new story. So I understand that it moved a little fast. It showed off, like, you know, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Philo, like, again, all their abilities. I forgot how much crap he had unlocked on the shield. It's freaking crazy. So do I think it's a good setup for season 2? Yes. Am I excited for the rest of it? Absolutely. Let's talk about another big one, Season 3 of Kaguya-sama Love is War, which I watched on Crunchyroll. And my synopsis of the show just in general is that I got nothing to complain about. It's a great and funny rom-com. Like, the situations in it are normal, and they just completely exaggerate it in a good way. You could be like, well, the exaggeration's not really my thing. It's not good. I think they did it very well, because other shows do not do exaggeration very well compared to this show, and they take completely normal situations and turn them into something pretty cool. Like, obviously, in, you know, episode 1 of season 3, they have the first, I guess, like, scene or whatever where her headphone thing is not all the way plugged in, and that crap had me rolling. I dropped TikToks on it, and I put them on shorts here too, and I was just laughing my butt off. The arm wrestling one and the Dragon Ball references, like, that had me rolling as well. I really do not have any complaints about Love is War, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. It's always a solid watch for me and a good laugh. Let's talk about another big one, Season 4 of Date Alive. You know, my initial synopsis in, like, Season 1 was that it was just cringe and confusing enough with the story to be entertaining. Like, it was funny, obviously, it's meant to be funny. But it did have a good developing story now that I watched, you know, Season 2 and Season 3, and now that we're going into Season 4, like, it seems like things are getting a little amped up. Like, obviously, it's going to still have, like, that dating game, you know, kind of thing going on. But with the new Spirit and Shido trying to win her over, she only likes 2D stuff. So it's like, how is he going to figure out the situation? So I'm definitely, excited to see where the rest of the season goes. There's always some weird turn of events with the scummy, DEM and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for season 4 of Date Alive for sure. Let's talk about I'm Quitting Heroing, and I watched this on High Dive, and pretty much synopsis of the story. Hero defeats the demon army, goes back to humanity. They all basically were like, you're scary, we don't like you, we're banishing you from the kingdom. So he goes back to the demon army and says, I'm obviously overqualified for a job here, so hire me. And they don't really hire him, but at the end of episode 1 they do kind of hire him. It's a funny fantasy comedy show, and I'm excited to see where it goes because there's a variety of characters that they already introduced right off the bat. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Let's talk about the Executioner and her way of life. Again, this is on High Dive. This was interesting. So you see the first scene where you think the main character shows up. It's a guy who gets isekai to another world. He gets kicked out of the castle for some reason or whatever. It's like power that he gets is not good or whatever. This chick comes up. She's like a priestess, and she explains like the hierarchy of the world. Like you have your citizens, you have, the kingdom government, and then you have the church, which she's a priestess. So she's taking him through the city, and he's like, is this where I use my power and knowledge to have influence on the city, like mayonnaise? And she's like, well, actually, we've had a lot of other people from Japan come over here, and we have our own little, Japantown inside of our kingdom already. And he's like, ah, crap. Well, that's out of the picture. So she ends up taking him to the church, this like abandoned church or whatever, and she's like, well, let's figure out what your power is. And apparently his power is to nullify things, literally erase them. Right when he realizes what his power is, this chick just assassinates him right on sight. So you're thinking that this guy's like the main character. Boom. He's done. And the whole story is about the church basically making sure that people that cross over from Japan don't have some crazy power that can end the world. And so they eliminate them because they've had errors in the past before. It's actually a very good concept in my opinion. And I've already watched episode 2, so I'm not going to spoil that for you guys because episode 2 is very cool to already drop like my reaction on TikTok and YouTube shorts here, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend watching this show if you can. One show that is really underrated, I think, is Ya Boy Kongming. This is on High Dive. It's kind of an isekai with music. Chinese general gets reincarnated after 1800 years on Halloween thinking he's in hell. Hears this chick's voice. He's like, I'm just so mesmerized. You have a great singing voice. I don't know how you're not influencing all these people. And he pretty much ends up being her manager. And this guy is a tactician at heart. So he knows how to get people to listen and get a crowd of people going. So this show, I've already seen both episodes of it. The music for it's good. I'm not really like a club music type of guy, but when there's a good soundtrack, you gotta watch the damn show. Next, let's talk about Love After World Domination. This is on Crunchyroll. This is pretty much the romantic comedy version of what would be Power Rangers. The red gelato, whatever. It's pretty much a red Power Ranger falls in love with the enemy captain, who's this chick, and they basically have to like get together on dates while they're like fighting, and then when people are looking, they have to pretend to fight. It's a solid rom-com. Do I think I'm going to be covering it in the future? I don't know. It depends how episode 2 goes, but it's one of those shows where if you want something to relax to, something that's chill, something that's funny, this one could fit that bill. Let's talk about a big one that people were talking about that I had no idea about this, the Ahar San Wahakarenai. I think that's how you say that. If I butchered it, let me know, because I'm from America and I went to public school. So, but in any event, this show's pretty much about the guy who's pretty much scary and socially awkward, makes friends with the chick who can barely talk and is not necessarily socially awkward, just nobody talks to her. So they end up becoming friends, slice of life situations, comedy, the whole 9 yards. Some relatability there too. I've dropped a bunch of TikToks on it already. Again, it's kind of the same lane as Love After World Domination. It's one of those shows where you can kind of chill out too. It's a good laugh. Again, do I think it's one of these top shows of the season? I'm not sure yet because it's going in a good route, but we'll have to see what happens. Next, I want to talk about the greatest Demon Lord is reborn as a typical nobody. Again, as you can tell, Demon Lord reincarnates himself as a pretty much his family in the country, and just wants to chill out and make friends because he couldn't do all that stuff in his past life. First episode is kind of like the backstory, so I'm not sure how I feel about it. Once I watch episode 2 to see where he goes when he goes to magic school and see how that progresses. This could turn into, you know, a comedy version of Misfit of Demon King Academy or something like that. Next, I want to talk about trapped in a dating sim. The world of Otome games is tough for mobs. Pretty much, this guy's playing this game that his sister blackmails him to play. He does the 100% completion rate, dies, gets reincarnated into that world, and since he knows the backstory of the world, he can kind of get his own way, so to speak, but he's a mob character. He's not like a main character in the thing, so it's kind of tough for him to do stuff. So do I think this one's going to be entertaining? Yes. I have not watched episode 2 yet, but we'll have to see what's up with that. I want to talk about an isekai one that I thought was pretty good, Skeleton Knight in Another World. It's almost like Overlord, but not really. It's more of, I guess, like the comedy version of what would be Overlord. Guy gets reincarnated in another world. His avatar is a skeleton, so he's not technically undead. He still has to like eat. I was like trying to like pull out all these plot holes compared to Overlord and stuff like that. So, but it was funny. It was great. He has like that inner dialogue with himself, just like with, you know, other isekais that have that. So I thought it was entertaining, and I'm pretty excited for the rest of the season. Let's talk about a top one of the season that people were hyping up. Shikimori is not just a cutie. Now, I did watch episode 1, and, you know, it's good. Animation's good. You know, the way that the guy's clumsy and the chick is, you know, cute and basically saves his life half the time and is kind of serious, you know. I think that's a good dynamic. And they go bowling, and she's like, well, I'm going to do bad, so he calls me cute, and he's like, do your best, and she's just like, oh man, now I have to like bowl a perfect game. So like, do I think this show is going to be something insane? I'm not sure. I think it's going to fall in the same realm of something like My DressUp Darling, where the situations are going to be normal, but just like the animation and the way they do the storytelling is going to be very good. So we'll just have to see what's up, but people have high expectations for this one. The only problem is that the studio for this one got shut down because of COVID. And again, they have the first episode out right now, which is on Crunchyroll. But the problem is that nobody knows when episode 2 and the rest of the season is going to drop. So just keep that in mind. The last big one I want to talk about that was actually so gas was Spy Family. Now I know everyone's like, the mom didn't come in the first episode, but holy crap, the first episode with Lloyd and Anya was cute. It was great. He was the boss. He was the GOAT of the show. Anya is just entertaining and hilarious, reading his mind and everything. Animation style is different, which I really like. Like, you cannot get any better than what this show did. It's already rated very, very high, like an all-time anime, which is super crazy already right off the bat. So I am very excited for this show. Like, it's cute, it's hilarious, it's gonna have good action. Like, it already does. Like, I'm just blown out of the water by episode 1 already. So now I have really high expectations for the rest of the season. Now, the one I haven't got around to watching is the Tomodachi Game, which, as I hear, is similar to something like either Saw or Squid Games. And so I'm not sure if I want to watch it, but, you know, if it starts looking good, I'll definitely give you guys my hot take here, you know, next couple weeks. Now that Anime Spring 2022 stuff's out of the way, let's talk about some shows that I just finished up, whether it's winter 2022 or older. I'm going to work my way back. So I watched the Irregular Magic High School. I watched season 1 and 2 and the Reminiscent arc. And let me tell you, the openings and endings for the show are gas. It's pretty much like a Chivalry of a Failed Knight, I guess, type show, where you have the main character who, according to the school, is like super weak or whatever, but his natural talent is like overpowered, and his ability, he doesn't have like a lot of magic, but the way he applies it and the way his skills are developed make him extremely reliable in, I guess, combat. The one weird thing, the sibling complex thing is weird, but overall the show has solid story, and I like how they describe magic in the show too. It's a little different, and each character also that's introduced to the show is good and has solid development as well. So I gave this overall, after it all, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, and if you like an underdog, definitely watch this one. Next, I want to talk about the case study of Vanitas. This one actually just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. If you want vampires and kind of a French type beat, this is the show. Season 1 opening endings were pretty gas. Character dynamics are great and hilarious, and I think it's an interesting take on vampires as well. Vanitas and Jean W couple, even though they don't really get along for half the show, but they low-key get along, you know what I'm saying? My only issue with the show is that, you know, I think the ending was rushed. The last couple episodes with Mikhail. Everything else in the show, all the other arcs inside the show, so freaking good, man. but the ending was rushed, and that is kind of what killed it for me. There's still a lot of behind the scenes and plot that wasn't wrapped up in season 1 at all. There's a lot of open-ended stuff, and all these introductions to new characters right at the end kind of threw me off. So I did bring this down to an 8 out of 10. You know, if they decide to drop a season 2 and season 2 is good, I would definitely rate this a 9.5. If they didn't have that rushed ending, 100% this would be a 9.5 out of 10. Let's talk about season 2 of Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. And this is one of my favorite isekai just in general. I like the initial plot in season 1 where pretty much one of the teammates from his class, somebody betrays him, he drops into the dungeon even lower and basically has to work his way down even farther. He gains extra powers and he's like, man, screw the school, screw these gods, blah blah blah, I'm gonna play by my own rules. All the characters that get introduced are great. Do I think it's a 10 out of 10? No, because some of the stuff kind of threw me off, like animation wise and, you know, some of the moments in the show. So I give it a 9 out of 10, but it's hilarious, dark, overall solid story and character progression. Season 1 was insane. My only thing with season 2 was it was kind of like a slow ramp up to the end climax, and it still felt kind of rushed. Nagamo's still the GOAT though, 100%. Man doesn't give a fook about anything, my guy. I still like this show, even though season 2, like, it was kind of lackluster in my opinion, but if you watch the show in general, season 1 is just so gas. Man's OP. Show's great. Another show I watched was Irregular, the Vampire Cosmonaut. I think it was a solid supernatural sci-fi show that pretty much goes over, you know, sending the first person, you know, into space, into the moon and stuff like that. So instead of sending a human person, they were like, well, we can send a vampire because they're not considered human. And they're going to be a test subject to make sure, you know, our people aren't going to, you know, die out there, like however that works, you know. So personally, I didn't think it didn't stand out too much in my opinion, but it was a cute story. It was solid animation. If you want a show that, you know, is evolved around like space and vampires and a little bit of it's a little bit of a Russia type beat as well. So if you want to watch that, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I would just give it a watch. Another show I watched, and you know, just I'm probably gonna butcher this, Seirei Gensoki Spirit Chronicles. I know how to say that word. Public school, am I right? You know, this came out, I think, you know, fall 2021, but it was a good fantasy isekai. The story progresses kind of fast and leaves a good amount of questions about magic and other things unanswered, but the concept of the show and the main character, that's great. And I think it's a neat isekai where they both have the reincarnation of bringing people from Japan who have died, and at the end of the season they show people getting teleported from Japan. So they kind of left that open for season 2, so I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. I like the world building too, with like the human empire, you know, the beastmen, elves, and dwarfs, and then I guess what would be the eastern part where it's more, you know, Japanese traditional, even though it's not really Japan, but you know how that goes with the shows. But again, I gave it an 8 out of 10, so I thought it was pretty solid isekai. All right, these next ones are all 10 out of 10s for me, and let's talk about it. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, very solid fantasy adventure isekai, great characters, a story that involves the MC's past and present. The world building was good, and you can't go wrong with this show, bro. Like, animation's great, even though we all know Rudy, he's a little perverted, but you know how the bullshit goes. Holy crap, what a great isekai. If you're an isekai fan, you haven't watched Jobless Reincarnation, get on it. Next, I want to talk about 86. Easily a classic when it comes to an action and psychological thriller. It gave me kind of like that Code Geass vibe. 3D animation was very good compared to other shows, and I will bring that up because there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of action in that show. The sound design is great too. Great characters. Story progression's insane. 10 out of 10. Next, I want to talk about 86. Easily a classic when it comes to an action and psychological thriller. It gave me kind of like that Code Geass vibe. 3D animation was very good compared to other shows, and I will bring that up because there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of action in that show. The sound design is great too. Great characters. Story progression's insane. 10 out of 10. Next, Ranking of Kings. You know what? For a show that was portrayed as lighthearted with the animation and the come up, it was kind of bloody and gory, and it was great. Still had fantastic characters, story, and backstory too. And it ended up turning into a very heartwarming action thriller, they blended all those concepts very well. And there's a small setup for season 2, which I hope they do, but holy crap, Boji is the GOAT in the show. The GOAT, man. Holy crap, man literally gets nerfed at birth and still beats his dad, who is a giant shoved into a human body, which is denser. Freaking nuts. And lastly, let's talk about the big one, My DressUp Darling. Let's just be honest. Opening is gas, ending is gas. The one thing that I did mention is that the animation is so much better because I think it feels more lifelike because of the movement of just like clothes, how the characters walk, all that stuff. Plus, all the characters are unique, and that's brought out more and more throughout the show. Gojo is the man. Let's be honest, the dude went from dolls to making complete cosplays in the matter of a couple weeks. Marin is easily in the running for Best Girl of the Year. She's Best Girl of the Season, by the way. Like, you're not going to change my mind on that, Jimmy John. And the one good thing with the show, and I mentioned this with Shikimori's too, is that the story isn't crazy, but that allows for every other aspect of the show to be brought out even more. And the ending, so wholesome, bro. I wish my man was awake to hear that. He would have been flipping out. But, bro, season 2. Oh, show's gonna be nuts. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the shows for me. You're gonna be like, David, you really watch a lot of shows? You keep up with a lot of this stuff? You're making content? Yeah, I do a lot. Trust me. I'm content lead at Team Vogue. I handle 2 TikTok accounts, 2 YouTubes. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I gotta post all this stuff everywhere. I gotta make sure everything's timed out properly. You know what I'm saying? I wanna make this my full-time gig. I love making content. I like anime, and again, this is just one portion of what I enjoy doing, and so this works out very, very well. And trust me, we got more anime content coming, more updates, just more shows I'm going to complete, whether they're new or old. Trust me, we got good content coming. If you like the video, again, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell, all that great jazz. And like I said for the My Week in Anime series, guys, I would love to do these weekly. We're going to see what's up going throughout the season, how many shows I can watch depending on my work schedule and all that great stuff. But if these end up being bi-weekly, I think that's going to be perfectly fine too. That's going to give me more time to watch more shows and get more content out to you guys. So in any event, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to catch you in the next one.